Welcome everybody. My name is Tim Gabruch. I'm President and CEO of IsoEnergy Ltd. We're a Saskatchewan-based uranium exploration and development company based out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, with properties up in the northern part of that province. Just as Jordan mentioned, please have a look at our MD&A for all forward-looking statements that I might talk about here. Please go through that when you get a chance. Just a little bit of background on IsoEnergy. The company was formed only back in 2016, really at quite an interesting time in the uranium and nuclear industry cycle. We were set up by NextGen Energy. We were a spin-out of that company, who many of you might know well. We took 5 properties from that company, and over the last few years, we had a strategy to come into the industry at a time when it was very difficult. We were really, if you think back, probably at the bottom of the uranium cycle, and so since that time, we've picked up properties. We now have 24 high-quality projects in the northern Athabasca Basin, all on the eastern side. So kind of strategic from that side as well. As Jordan pointed out, the eastern side, it's where all the infrastructure is, the roads, the electricity, there's mills nearby, so that's where we're focusing our attention. We have a very strong technical team. I'll talk a little bit more about who's on our team. And just strategically, like I said, we went into the industry, or got set up in the industry at a time when a lot of people were leaving. So it gave us a good opportunity to pick up properties that today you couldn't pick up. Obviously, as many of you know, the industry is starting to really accelerate with the market, as Jordan talked about it just a couple minutes ago. And we also leverage a lot of strengths coming from NextGen, coming from a lot of people with capital markets. We set up a company that was very strong on the balance sheet and with some good properties, and took it from there. Really, the focus since we started up has been exploring. In 2018, it wasn't part of the initial package of properties. We picked up a property called Larocque East from Cameco, and we bought that in May of 2018. Very quickly after that, we had mineralization on that property, and since that time, really, it's been the focus of IsoEnergy. We've been drilling. 2020, we had some of the best drill results. It's kind of hard to see this screen, but really some of the best holes we've had so far. 7.5 meters at almost 40% uranium, 3.5 at 70% uranium. So indicative of some of the best kind of high grade ore that you'll find in the Athabasca, and really what it's known for. We've continued to do a lot of drilling. I'll get into that, but since 2021, last summer, and this winter, we've continued to develop that project. The Hurricane Zone, it is incredible. So if any of you have been fortunate enough to go up north, see some of these deposits, if you get to a core shack, this is what you'll see. You'll see some very high grade uranium. If you look at that top picture, there's about 3.5 meters of 70% uranium, that pure black pitch blend, and these are some of the best cores coming out of the Hurricane Zone. So really the best deposit that's been found in the basin since NextGen found its Arrow deposit. I just throw this in because one very important part of mining in the Athabasca Basin is depth. And so we are an unconformity-hosted, sandstone-hosted unconformity deposit, 325 meters, which in the basin is really quite shallow. So we'd be shallower than some of the big mines that are going, MacArthur, Cigar, very similar to a Phoenix, even a little shallower. So just the point there being that that's not an economic deterrent being at that depth. It's really quite an advantage. Our exploration program through the last couple of cycles here. Last summer we did 16,000 meters on the Larocque East, and that's been our focus, like I said, for the last few years. We did get back to one of our other projects, Geiger, did some drilling there, which we hadn't done since before we found the Hurricane Zone at Larocque, but it was good to get back onto one of our other top projects that we had before we picked up Larocque. This winter we got back up north. We've done another 12,000 meters just as of recently. 2,400 meters of that was right on the Hurricane Zone, continuing to look to expand the zone, some of the mineralization we found in the summer. And we also did 9,500 meters of exploration drilling up that same property, but it's a huge property with a lot of conductor to the east, about 15 kilometers of conductor. We've coupled that. We continue to do a lot of geophysical work, Geiger and our Ranger and Hawk projects this winter, as well as we did a lot of geophysics on Larocque East back in the summer, and that's really just been what's setting us up for the exploration programs this past winter and coming up for the summer. here's just a drawing of what the hurricane zone looks like today. So it is a very high-grade zone, 12 meters thick, 125 meters wide, with about a kilometer of mineralized strike length. And really, again, very shallow depth. You'll see on the very left-hand side, it's right up against the border. It's on a border of another project that Cameco and Orano own called Dawn Lake. So, it doesn't take a geologist, and I'm not a geologist, but it doesn't take one to see that there's likely something on the other side, because sort of the heart of our deposit really is right on that border. So what we have is incredibly exciting. The other very strategic piece of Hurricane is that it's only 40 kilometers from the McLean Lake Mill owned by Orano, and Orano is very much looking to continue operating that mill well into the future. And I can tell you, certainly are looking for new deposits to feed into that mill down the road. So just very good deposit in an extremely good location. This is just a schematic of the hurricane zone, which is the star on the very western edge of the southern part of the property. But it's really to give you a sense. Out to the east, you have all that red area. That's to the far east of that project. It's about 15 kilometers long. So it's a big property. We did a lot of geophysical ground surveying last summer. So this winter we've been doing a lot of drilling in that A and B zone and C to the south. We'll continue to do that this summer. We've got some initial results, some good structural developments there, and certainly we have some assays coming out later, probably later within the month or so from the winter program, but those haven't been released yet. Just, really high level on the market and corporate overview. I think Jordan went through the uranium market a little bit, and some of you, I'm sure some of you follow it if you're here at this session. But I won't get into this detail just given time. But I think on a very high level, it's just important to say, there's never been, I think, probably a better time in the uranium sector. Just the fundamentals are really looking incredibly positive. That's coming out of a 10, 11-year downturn after Fukushima, and now over this period, there's been a lot of supply come off. There's been demand continuing to grow, and so the fundamentals look incredibly good. And then you add to that really some of the geopolitical changes that have happened. There's a significant geopolitical shift happening. Certainly earlier this year, Kazakhstan had some civil unrest issues. That's the world's biggest supplier to the West, but obviously more so Russia recently. They continue to be a 20-30% supplier of uranium and nuclear fuel in general to the West, and so obviously that's a huge concern to utilities, to the people buying uranium. So there's really a shift going. Not only are the fundamentals good, but for a company like IsoEnergy and for those companies that have projects in geopolitically stable areas like Canada, certainly the US, Australia, very positive going forward, because that's where these utilities are going to be looking for their next supply sources. Capital structure, about 106 million shares outstanding. We've got a good cash position right now, still about $9 million in the bank. Obviously, lots of support out there for programs like ours to explore high-grade deposit like Hurricane, but also to start exploring some of those other 24 properties that we have. So we're in a good position there. We've obviously taken a little bit of a dip with the entire market the last week or two, but from a fundamentals position, I think we're incredibly well positioned still. I took over as CEO of the company back in February of last year. We've got a great team in place. We've got our Chief Financial Officer is just joined us, Graham DePries. He's a long-standing mining CFO, lots of experience coming out of gold recently, but also in the uranium sector for years. And Andy Carmichael has taken over as our VP of Exploration. Andy's been with the company since the outset and just done an incredible job, not only helping to find Hurricane, but move it forward. And I'll just point out Dave Thomas, who's a 40-year veteran of the exploration industry. Globally, he knows every uranium project. We're very lucky to have him on as a strategic advisor to IsoEnergy. The board of directors, we not only were set up by NextGen, we continue to be very well supported by them. They continue to be a majority shareholder with just over 50%. And our board, Lee Currier, is the CEO of NextGen, for those that know the company. He is our chairman. And we're supported by a group of directors that has enormous experience with NextGen and others, but they've obviously just gone through a great cycle with NextGen, and we've got that to draw on within IsoEnergy. that's really it. I think my time's coming down, but at the end of the day, as far as IsoEnergy, what we believe we are is, well, we are the only junior company to have found a high-grade uranium deposit over the last few years, and I think that sets us up incredibly well as the fundamentals continue to improve in the market, and really we're looking at a significant geopolitical shift across uranium market and industry, but also nuclear in general, with a lot of support growing there. The team, great team in place, and again, the location on the eastern side of the basin is an advantage, but also just the fact that we are in Saskatchewan, which is very well a good supporter of uranium, both in the province and the country. So that's I think my time, or I'm going to get kicked off here, but we're in booth 316. Any questions? Graham is here, Andy's here. Come and ask me some questions, and there's my contact details. Thanks very much.